Hey everyone, welcome to the ranking. Here's my ranking of all the Insidious films. Yes, Insidious The Last Key just came out, and I thought I'd celebrate the fourth Insidious film. I thought I'd rank all four Insidious films from at least to my favorite. Yes, this franchise as a whole I think is pretty good. Even franchises that I love, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, they have a lot of stinkers, a lot of really shitty films in their franchise, and luckily, the Insidious franchise has four films, and three out of the four are really good movies. And even the one I just reviewed, the fourth one, is not technically a bad film. It's not a good film, but it's not technically a bad film. So, kudos to the Insidious films. They've made four movies, and they have yet to make a really bad one. That's an accomplishment within itself, but I digress. Let's get to it. Let's not waste any time. Here's my ranking of all four Insidious films from my least favorite to my favorite. Alright, coming at number 4 is Insidious 4, or Insidious The Lost Key. The Last Key. The Lost Key. The Last Key. It's the last key. It's the last film, hopefully, in this franchise. I swear, if they make another Insidious film, I guarantee it, it's going to suck hard. Because they're not really getting any better and stuff. There has never been a better Insidious film than Insidious. Spoilers for my number 1, but you all know what my number 1 is. I think my number 1 is pretty much everyone's number 1. Anyways, I'm talking about the fourth one. Anyways, Insidious The Last Key, I just did a whole review of it. You all know I thought it was just it's Lynn Shay is so great. She's great as Elise. Going into her backstory, going into why she has these dark gifts and stuff. That's interesting. There is one scene that actually creeped the shit out of me and stuff, so that's pretty cool and stuff. It's just not that scary, though. This is the least scariest Insidious film out of the whole franchise. And again, there's comedic relief in the film, and it's very cringy. It's not very funny, and it's very predictable. It can get pretty boring at times. When it hit the halfway point of this film, I'm just like, is this movie almost over? It's kind of getting dull and stuff, and it has the typical cliches it has the typical scares that almost all the Insidious films have, like the camera pans to a person's face and it cuts back, and the other person beside them, there's a weird essence behind them, and it's a big jump scare and stuff, and it's almost borderline cliche now, and there's a lot of jump scares in this film, and they just don't work for me. And again, this movie's not bad because it has some good stuff in it, but it's not that scary. It's pretty unnecessary. It's kind of pointless. It's pretty boring at times, and it's definitely the worst installment out of all these Insidious films. It's still not a bad film, but it's the worst one. Coming number 3 is Insidious Chapter 2. This is pretty underrated because this was pretty thrashed by the critics. Some people hated this movie. They call it one of the worst horror sequels out there. It's like another Freddy's Revenge and shit like that. Whoa, it's not that bad. This is actually pretty good. It takes place just after the first one, what happened to Patrick Wilson. He got taken over by that, weird spirit demon, weird girl with looks like a nun and shit. She finally took him over. She's been following him ever since he's been a kid. And at the ending of the first one, he killed Elise, and now his body's taken over by her, and it's up to Rose Byrne to get her husband back, and he's got the help of the crew, the ghost hunting crew and stuff, to get the husband back and stuff, get him back from that weird, crazy world he's in. And it's basically the returning characters of the first one stuff. Elise is in this too. She's not huge in it, but she's still in it as well. And there is some pretty creepy shit. I do love Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne in these movies, so that's always a plus for me. That's why I like Insidious 2. And again, there was some pretty out there creepy shit, but the reason it's the weaker one the reason it's not as good as the first one is because it's not as impactful as the first one. It repeats a lot of the tropes that the first one had. And it's pretty predictable and stuff, and it's not as creepy, it's not as atmospheric as the first one and stuff, and that's just a sequel for you, because when sequels come out, some sequels don't know what to do and stuff, so they borrow tropes from their predecessor and stuff, because they don't know how to use different things and stuff. Not every movie sequel can be a Blade Runner 2049, or an Aliens, or Terminator 2, right? So I think for a horror movie sequel, I still think it's actually a pretty good film. It does lack in a lot of things, and there's things that I wish they didn't do and stuff, and it's by no means a great film, but I still enjoy it for what it is. Coming number 2 is Insidious Chapter 3. Insidious Chapter 3 was interesting because this is a prequel to the first two. This talks more about Elise and stuff, and her crew and stuff, her ghost hunting crew and stuff. How she meets them was really cool and stuff, and I loved Lin Shaye in this film. There was actually some genuinely really creepy shit in this film. I actually didn't mind the lead girl in this film. She was actually pretty good. There's other side characters that were kind of annoying. There were some cliche moments. There were some jump scares that just don't work and stuff, but the reason I like this film better than the second one is because, again, Elise is in it, and I liked seeing how she met the camera crew people, her ghost hunting crew and stuff, because even though I find them pretty annoying at times, I found that interesting how she tied into this story and how she found their crew and stuff and how she has to defeat this evil in this film. I just found it more entertaining in this film. This one was just a little more of an entertaining horror film than the second one, and I don't know, there was just some moments that I found very effective. Like the wall knocking scene was really good. Like there's a scene, I don't want to spoil the scare, but it involves the main girl knocking on the wall, and it was really creepy. I thought it was very effective. I'm like, okay, that was genuinely uncomfortable. Like, that was pretty creepy and stuff. There is some pretty creepy and heavy shit in this film, too. I think it's actually a pretty enjoyable horror film. There are things that, again, they don't work. There's cliches. There's jump scares. There's just moments that just feel very tacked on and stuff. It's not a great film, but I think it's a pretty good one, and I think it's actually a little bit better than the second one, and yeah, I had fun with it. And my number one favorite Insidious film is Insidious, the first Insidious. I think this is everyone's favorite for good reason. This is actually a genuinely great film. It's directed by James Wan, who also did the second one, but he did an amazing job with this one. He did such a great job. I loved these characters. It was genuinely scary, genuinely off-putting at times in the best way possible. It's not like off-putting, like, oh, this movie sucks. It's off-putting, you're like, oh my god, I don't want to watch this. This is just too weird and out there and fucked up and shit like that. And yeah, this movie almost actually made me fear of getting my picture taken because, yeah, that shit's fucking creepy. Like, after I watched this film, I'm like, I don't want people to take my picture anymore because I don't know what's behind me. Creepy. And yeah, I liked Rose Byrne, I liked Patrick Wilson. I also loved in this film, like, their house is haunted and stuff, and I loved, like, their first reaction, let's move out, and then they do. That's funny. That's really enjoyable. They basically just, like, satirize a horror cliche. It was really funny and stuff, but as we learned in The Conjuring, moving out of a house doesn't always get rid of the spirit. The essence attaches itself to the vessel, and the vessel in this movie is the sun and stuff, and yeah. I loved seeing the dad going to the spirit world and stuff where you meet the spirit that looks like Darth Maul and shit like that. It was pretty crazy and stuff. The music is also creepy and unsettling. The score is really good. The table scene when they're at the dinner table, really fucking creepy scene, and it's just a lot of great stuff in this film, and I actually think this will become a classic in the future. I think this will be considered a classic horror film in like 20 or 30 years from now. It's actually a genuinely effective horror film. And of course, Lin Shaye's in the film. She's awesome and stuff. And I liked all these characters in this film. That's why I like this the best. All the characters are enjoyable. All the characters are great. And the jump scares, some of them are annoying, but most of them actually do work for this film. And yeah, as a whole, I think it is a very solid horror film, and it's hands down the best out of this franchise. So yeah, that was my ranking of all the Insidious films from my least favorite to my favorite. So in the comment section below, please tell me, what is your ranking of all the Insidious films in your opinion from your least favorite to your favorite? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.